I'm going to hand over to Nikki Webb now from Energy Sparks. Nikki will be presenting on Energy Sparks and then also talking about our case study, just because we had a couple of people not well, but she does have the information from Eastern Multi-Academy Trust. So I will hand over to Nikki. Thank you.
Thanks very much. That's great, thank you. So yeah, thank you for having me today. And as Rebecca said before, our programme helps schools to save carbon emissions, to reduce their carbon emissions, but also we try and save you money as well, or we do save you money. So we focus on things that are low cost and no cost actions at schools that and that schools can do themselves, so with very little external help. But what we really try and focus on as well is things that will really save you money. So it seems quite rare in sustainability to talk about things or do things that that aren't really expensive, or to ask to do things that aren't really expensive, but even rarer to say this is going to save you money. So it's always very exciting. Love talking about energy sparks. And the other thing as well, Louise was just talking about the decarbonisation sort of section of your school action plan. So we also work in that sort of area. We give you guidance tailored to your specific, the energy use in your school, and a very quick way of tracking progress as well. And the two, the sort of Count Your Carbon and Energy Sparks can work together quite nicely as a way of kind of tracking progress and seeing how you're getting on. So we are a registered charity, and we have this beautifully grand vision of a sustainable future in which the school community is at the heart of measurable action to tackle climate change. So we do all of this by using schools' own smart metered energy data to really get an idea of how and when schools use their energy. So we offer guidance that is specifically tailored to schools and activities that link school energy use to the curriculum. So it helps to provide children and young people with, with the knowledge, the skills and the tools to take that measurable action, and also take it out to the wider community as well, so to try and reduce carbon. And they can see the impact of the actions that they take very quickly, and this can also really, help them to build up those skills into the future, but also to feel that they are part of something bigger. So I always think of a sort of 11-year-old child that can save £1,000 or a ton of carbon for their school, and think, well, okay, I can do that. What more can I do? How else can I help in this area? And then we also work with school leaders, staff and communities to better understand their school consumption and to reduce their carbon footprint. So as a bit of an overview of our service, we've got here an image from our adult dashboard and our pupil dashboard. So we do have two slightly different faces that they can look at. And our core service is that the online energy management platform. So we work with pupils and staff and any volunteers that they have to look at how much energy they use every day of the school year, but also broken down into each half-hour period. So we provide those separate focuses of adult and pupil dashboard to give that bespoke analysis of the schools, and then tie those to actions that schools can take to reduce sort of targeted emissions reductions. So the Energy Sparks charts show when and how much energy a school is using. So we use these sort of engaging colour-coded graphics to highlight when you can use energy. It's aimed at people who don't necessarily understand energy. You don't have to be an energy manager to be able to kind of look at this chart and go, right, summer holidays, how much energy am I using here? This is Christmas holidays, how much energy I'm using here. You can very quickly get the hang of what's happening. And we also present it in different units as well. I'm not sure how well you can see that, but you can toggle between different units and decide, right, today I've got my finance manager hat on, I need to look in pounds. That's also a really useful universal language as well. Everyone understands if you've spent £1,000 on energy in the Christmas holidays, that makes sense to us. And then you can look at it in carbon as well. So if you want to be able to talk about how much you might be able to save in your carbon emissions. So you can also then drill down into the chart. So if I clicked on any one of these bars, which is a week of the year, if we have a bit of time later on, I could always show you a little live demonstration. But if you click on any of those weeks, then you get a week's amount of energy, and if you clicked on one of those days you'd get something that looks like this. So this is every half-hour period for that school on a particular day. So you can really start to sort of drill down and see, you know, what's going on in my school. Is my boiler doing what I think it's doing? Have I got a strange peak in the middle of the night? And those things are really, really helpful to be able to spot those things as well. So we receive energy data daily, and it's normally within a couple of days of schools using that energy. So it means we have a very quick way of tracking the impact of any changes that you've made. And this also helps with alerts. So we provide online and also emailed alerts to school staff users. And so they give a warning of any changes in a school's energy use, or they highlight problems with energy consumption. And they also provide focused recommendations to save energy or celebrate if a school, like this one here, if a school is doing really well, and then link things to pupil action or staff actions that they can take. This one at the bottom, this red one here, looks pretty terrifying. And this is actually live. I found this one this morning, and we contacted the school just to check what was going on. And we found out that they had a significant leak a month or two ago, and they've now got loads and loads of building work going on site and lots of temporary classrooms. However, the finance manager wasn't aware that their overnight energy consumption had gone up. So he is now going to go and investigate this and have words with the contractors and see what's going on. So I think that's quite an interesting one. So we also have lots of pupil activities, so over 130 activities now to support students in taking their impactful action to reduce energy consumption. So these include downloadable lesson plans, activity sheets, presentations, and videos as well. Some of our activities we also sort of collate into programmes, sort of strings of 4 to 10 activities in a row that can be done, you know, within a particular term. And that helps to sort of cut through the noise a little bit. I know it's very overwhelming and everyone's, you know, very, very busy and doesn't have enough time to do anything. So if you're just given, here you go, programme for a term, let's work through these as an eco club or as a class. And you can really get a lot out of it. And the programmes always bring in different skill sets. So you'll have a bit of analysis of graphs. You'll have a bit of detective work, looking around the school and seeing what's going on. You'll have a little bit of making a change, you know, in doing something, getting the caretaker to make a change, and then a bit of reviewing and reflecting on that at the end, checking back on your graphs. Has it made a difference? And what have we learned from this process? Oh, as well as a bit of shouting about it as well. Always really useful to be able to then have an assembly or write a letter home or to government or something like that, so that you can really get those communication skills going well as well. And then also every time you carry out a pupil activity, the school is encouraged to record them on their Energy Sparks portal. So this creates a timeline of energy saving activity in your school, and that can be used for evidence for things like eco schools applications or other similar schemes. And it's a really good opportunity to share that sort of best practice and any inspiration with other schools as well. Not only that, but every time you log something, you earn points towards the Energy Spark scoreboard, and at the end of the year, points mean prizes, which is always lovely. Just a quick overview as well, we also provide lots of guidance to support the sort of adult-led actions. They're grouped around themes, so things around behaviour change and heating system configuration. And again, they also result, so when you log those, they will also be logged on your account, giving you points. No, it's not just for secondary schools. I've just seen a comment come up. It is for all schools. I think the funding at the moment for Suffolk is just for secondary schools, but you can join as a primary school as well. So yeah, all of these things as well, once you've logged something, you don't only receive points, but we also log it on your charts as well. So you'll be able to see, in fact, I think, here we go, on here, you'll get these little icons here that say, today we did a particular thing. If you were on a live site, you could hover over it and it'll say, this is what we did on this day. And you can, again, track that progress and see what sort of impact it's having on your energy bills. So for adult users and older students, we also have more detailed analysis to help you really pinpoint the energy saving priorities for your school. So a lot of schools can really save, sort of up to 30 or 40% even on their gas bill at little to no cost, just by addressing heating control problems. Things like heating starting too early in the morning, frost protection being a little bit too protective and coming on when it's just a little bit peaky at the weekends, and then also holiday and weekend use, just getting those settings right when the school is closed. And so our data analysis and guide have the confidence to make those changes, but also to test them out. So you can say, right, well, I can see that our boiler's coming on too early at the moment. How about we make this change? We test it out for a week or so, look at our energy spark, see what we've saved, and then check, if it doesn't work, we change it back. Or if it does work, brilliant, and we'll push it a bit further. So it really allows you, gives you that confidence and that ability to test something out, to try something new, and to make those sorts of changes. And also balance it up with those with how people feel, how many complaints you might get about the changes as well. So for multi-academy trusts and local authority users, we also provide a group dashboard. So they sort of pull together all of the recommendations for all of your schools, and they pull together the kind of how schools are changing over time. So if you are from a multi-academy trust, you can view all of your schools at the same time and see how they're getting on, and that can be very exciting as well. So just a little bit of information about our all of the various different things that we offer. So alongside the energy management tool, we have a few sort of complementary interventions to help kickstart and sustain your engagement. So we have free online webinar trainings for school staff. That's always free, and we hold those at least weekly. I'm always doing things like that. But we can also, if we have a group of schools together, so we might be able to do a Suffolk specific training session where all the schools are there, and it's sort of a safe space where you can ask questions about it, look at what you're doing, share examples of what things that have helped you, and learn from each other as well. We also provide so all those courses are for there's specialist courses for different types of users. So we'll have some for educators, some for estate staff, and some for school leadership as well. And that can all be booked on our website. You can do that if you're not already an Energy Sparks user. You can log on to those if you want to, and we always have hints and tips of how you can save energy even if you're not on the platform. And we also offer additional educational workshops, assemblies, and energy audits as well, but there is an additional cost for those things. Just a little bit as well about our environmental impact. In the first year of using Energy Sparks, schools usually save around 10%. And last year, looking at our recent our impact report, which we haven't actually published yet, but we are in the moment of it, our average cost savings for secondary schools was about £20,000 and 25 tonnes of carbon dioxide in the last academic year. Our very engaged schools will tend to achieve much higher savings, so up to 30%. And typically the things that really save money is reducing the consumption during weekends, during holidays, and getting those boiler timings and temperatures right. And then in addition to that, the environmental impact, pupils and staff really do take home those energy saving life skills, and they can take it into their future lives as well. A little bit about our educational impact. So we really try to help schools help pupils and empower pupils to take action to reduce their school carbon footprint and see that impact as well, so they can see it in their charts, they can see it around their school as well. They get that additional environmental awareness, but also get to participate in those sort of leadership, collaborative, communication. I can't say the word communication, that's not great, is it? In all of those sorts of opportunities as well. And really get that motivation to take responsibility and to make those changes within their school. But that motivation, because they can see the impact, because they can do it, they can take it away as well, and learn, I can do this, I can also influence those school leaders to do things as well. And all of those together really helped to develop the sort of more positive response and ability to tackle climate change, knowing that, you know, I'm just one person, one small person, what on earth can I do? I've made that change in my school. What else can I do? Is a really great way to tackle sort of climate or eco anxiety. Now, there's a few things to sort of end my slot on. This is a slide that I sort of send to lots of different schools, so don't necessarily think this is a Suffolk one, but if you did want to enrol, there is a link on here to do that. I think I might have to check with Rebecca, but I think the best way for you to enrol is using this link, but we can work that one out later on if you want to do apply for that funding. What was I going to say? Sorry, I've lost my train of thought. But you can everyone, whether you're using Energy Sparks or not, our educational resources are all on our website. So you are very welcome to have a look at that, have a look at our case studies and see what you can find out from that as well. And I also wanted to leave you with a couple of slides at the end that are, just because you're not an Energy Sparks school yet, there are things that you can do right now to save. So things like getting a Christmas switch off list. So it is almost Christmas and this is the one that I'm leading on, but it's important, you know, for all holidays. So our analysis, recent analysis shows that 5% of school energy use is spent during the Christmas holidays. So last year, 50 of our schools spent more than £10,000 on energy during the Christmas holidays. So those schools are now receiving a lot of support to try and help them to save money this year. We have template switch off lists like this one, and I think there's guidance here if you click on this link, and that can really help to support you sort of putting together those lists, and you can develop these lists in whatever way you like and find what works for your school. So you might want to change it from an end of term list to, it could be an end of the day list, could be an end of the week list. You could have a checklist in every room as people leave. You could have pupils that are, you know, given tasks that you know, they are responsible for switching things off at the end of the day. And they love getting involved in spot checks as well. So lunch times after school, get them to check what's been left on, and especially if they get to find that teachers are breaking the rules, it's just the best. But you know, find out what works for you. So do some spot checks. If something is always being left on, and no matter how many times you ask, then it can be automated. You know, automatic IT switch offs and shutdowns can save secondary schools in particular thousands of pounds, tens of thousands of pounds every year. And then the other thing I just wanted to quickly touch on is just getting your heating right is really important. You know, obviously it's very important for the happiness of your staff. It's also important for the learning outcomes for your students. You know, not too warm or they all fall asleep and don't get anything done. But it's also really, really common that heating is on a lot more than we realise it in our schools. It comes on very early in the morning, often midnight or the early hours, and is then left on during weekends and holidays. If no one's there to check, you know, how do you know that your heating is on? And having Energy Sparks means that you can check that very, very easily. One of our schools that joined at the end of 2022 saved £34,000 in their first year just by improving their controls that they didn't know weren't controlled. You know, they didn't know their heating wasn't controlled very well until they saw these strange spikes at the weekends. What's happening here? And managed to change that. So I've also left on here, there's a link to the DFE energy efficiency guidance, so that could be quite useful for you to take away and have a look at too. So that's the end of my slides. Before I go on to the Eastern Multi-Academy Trust, did anyone have any questions at all?
There is a question in the chat or the Q&A. It says, do any of the schools in the programme use ASHP or is this more linked to boiler traditional heating?
Sorry, did you say in the trust or in Energy Sparks?
It just says in the programme, so I assumed it was for you.
All right, sorry, yeah. Yes, so air source heat pumps, they do. A lot of our very specific guidance has all been developed for, you know, your traditional gas boilers, but more and more schools now have air source heat pumps and they're starting to get them. So we are, you know, developing and updating our guidance now to be able to support those schools as well. But yeah, it's you can see an awful lot of you can see an awful lot in the energy consumption whether you've got an air source heat pump or a gas boiler or anything.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have any questions?
I do, Rebecca. Sorry, I can't type quick enough.
Yes.
I think you said that you were looking for 5 secondary schools to be offered to do this in the first year, but sadly we're not quite at the stage where we haven't done our energy audit or started the decarbonisation plan yet. Will it be available next year, and is it something that wouldn't be free if we didn't get to sign up with as one of your 5 schools?
Yeah, I just want to clarify, because obviously Nikki was saying, yeah, you can apply to NG Sparks. It's just if you want the funding, you also need to fill in our sign up form. So Jess, I don't know if you can just pop that sign up form in the chat. If you want to register to sign up and you're not at that stage, then I can work with you to get that energy audit done. I think Hadley is in the process of having one done.
Yeah, we're just sort of on it, but not. We haven't yet done it.
That's okay. There's no rush. We're going to provide that funding for up to 5, and then we're going to review it and then hopefully release another 5 schools. But I only want to provide that funding if the school is very clear on what they're trying to achieve, and they've started their decarbonisation plan. But I don't mind working with the school to get them to that stage. So it's just something that we can talk about. So if you're interested in it, please sign up, and then we can work together to try and get you into a position where we can fund it. But if the school want to go ahead and pay for Energy Sparks, you know, and they don't need the funding, then obviously you're quite free to do that as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's great, thank you. And how much does it cost?
Good question. I'll hand you over to Nikki.
Yeah. So if you are part of a trust or a local authority that are all joining together, there is a slightly discounted rate, so that's £495 plus VAT per year. If you are joining on your own, and just because of the economies of scale, being able to join lots of schools up at the same time is much easier. If you're joining as a single school, then it's £545 per year. So compared with the savings that you can make, it's not a lot, but obviously it's a lot of money for a lot of schools when they have to find it in the first place. We regularly do have funded places on Energy Sparks. We just don't have any additional ones at the moment outside of these Suffolk ones. So in the future, if there aren't any funded spaces in Suffolk, and you're not quite ready to start yet, then you could always add your name to the Energy Sparks sort of waiting list and put on there, we can't fund it ourselves, but we really desperately want to do it. And the next time there's a funding round that comes up, we might be able to add you to it.